What is up, everybody? I'm No Lux Given, and today we are breaking into the piggy bank because I have been saving my gold, related Storybook Brawl videos, and now that the channel is monetized, it seems like a great time to showcase some absolutely sweet games. Today we're going to be looking at Rumpelstiltskin plus Piggy Bank, which I think is an awesome interaction that a lot of players were excited about since Rumpelstiltskin came out, basically. And there's a lot of cool ways to use the spinning gold with the piggy bank. Do you want to accrue a bunch of interest and then have an absolutely massive spinning gold? Or do you want to just use that spinning gold immediately so that way you can start to build even more interest into the piggy bank? Now, this one is going to wind up going a little bit different, and it's going to use a different Rumpelstiltskin strategy that I think is actually underutilized on the hero. I picked up a golden chicken on 2.1, and now here on 2.2, I'm going to sell the golden chicken. That's going to put me up to 6 gold, which will then put me up to 12 gold after I double that with my hero power using that spinning gold spell. And typically the strategy here is to look for a bunch of blind mice and effectively become like a worse version of the Fates. However, in this game, I wind up finding a whole bunch more golden chickens, and then I use those to find a piggy bank. After selecting that, I'm going to sell off the upgraded golden chicken to get myself back up to 5 gold and start gaining some interest here and seeing what we can do with that. Now, on 3.0, we also get to use a free roll to tick up Cindy, activate that, go up to 13 gold, or grab another treasure here. There's a few interesting options. We could also go for the Crown of Atlas with the Polywoggle currently available in the shop, and it would also work with the Princess Peep here that we grab, as well as the Frog Prince. All of these things would work well with the Crown of Atlas, but I decided to go for the Skipping Stone. I feel like that's a good way to translate extra gold into a different advantage, is to then try to pick up some XP with that. So we get a little bit more powerful this turn, picking up a 5/5 and then a 1/1 that's going to spawn a few more 1/1s for us, though we're still a little bit weak here. As you'll see, we're going to wind up taking a little bit more damage. Even so, we take 5 down to 25, and we are towards the bottom of the lobby, but there are still 2 players doing worse than us. One is a ghost that is now disconnected, and it would be awesome to use this Wish Upon a Star up against the ghost. However, we've already played the ghost, so it's not like I can just lock onto that Wish Upon a Star, because there's still a few more other players that we haven't played against, so we won't wind up playing up against the ghost for a little bit now. So I wind up just using the Wish Upon a Star, and then I roll and just use my remaining piggy bank gold to pick up a few more characters, and I'm thinking hopefully maybe in some crazy universe this allows us to defeat Apocalypse here. Now, turns out what happens is this is actually a 6-person lobby. So we win the Wish Upon a Star. Feels pretty good. We kind of cheated to get here, but I'll take it. Now we are 2 XP up on the rest of the lobby, and we can just keep getting stronger with some level 4 characters now in the shop. Now, I will eventually start putting some economy back into the piggy bank, but for right now, I gotta get stronger, and I gotta kind of try to catch up here as I am down to 25 health at the moment. So going to wind up picking up a Lady of the Lake and a Lightning Dragon, and these can be pretty good, especially when your opponents are not expecting you to be level 4 yet. Lightning Dragon with some bonus health from Lady of the Lake can just basically take out your opponent's entire backline, and that's what we're basically going to see here in a moment. I'm not going to jump ahead, we're almost there. And then from here, it's going to be a balance of trying to save up a little bit more, trying to put some econ back into this piggy bank, while also trying to pair and triple the characters that we have existing right now. You can see Lightning Dragon does a nice job, grabs a 2-for-1 there, and then we just have to deal with this mummy on my opponent's side of the board. That's going to trade with one of my sheep, and we wind up dealing 7 damage to the 3rd place player in this lobby, and now I'm feeling pretty good. Now we could pick up this Godmother. That works really well with Princess Peep, and then we're playing a whole front line of royals, so we could also add a Court Wizard to the board, and with that, with a Court Wizard plus a Fairy Godmother pickup that we were aided in picking up with a Lucky, I'm then going to sell off my bench and put everything back in the piggy bank. That gets me to the break point of 5 gold, and hopefully that is strong enough that now we can start to save up a little bit. Lightning Dragon gonna do some nice work for us, takes out both of my opponent's vultures and completely wrecks their comp here. I think that my opponent had a pretty nice board. However, we just had a really good answer with that Lightning Dragon to be able to totally take them out. So that is pretty fantastic, and now we have to decide with 15 gold, which is exactly a multiple of 5. Do I want to pick up like Friendly Spirit? Could be pretty good here. Friendly Spirit works well with the Lady of the Lake, and it works well with both ranged characters that we have in the back line, in addition to our Godmother. But if I'm putting that on the board, then I'm either cutting a Lightning Dragon or a Royal, and so I don't think that it makes my board that much better. I'm just going to pass on it, and I'm just going to put 15 gold right into the piggy bank. We are level 5 right now, so there is definitely some temptation to start to try to pick up some level 5 characters, but the longer that we can hold off and the more that we can put into this piggy bank, the better it is going to be for us. So we get a little bit greedy here, and I'm going to hold onto this gold for at least one more turn, and then we'll see what we can do with it in the future. Lightning Dragon almost grabs a 2-for-1 there off the rip. Not quite. It's going to miss the Medusa, but the fact that we have the same amount of XP as this skip, and basically the same amount of health as well, definitely makes me feel pretty good. Now, we are going to lose this combat. It's a close one, but we do wind up losing here to my opponent's board. Takes 7 damage down to 18, but ultimately not the worst place in the world to be. For this combat, I actually think you could consider just like casting the Blessing of Athena there and hoping that that's enough, but because we are up against the lobby leader now, I do decide I want to try to add a little bit more stats to the board. I wind up picking up Lancelot, which is conveniently in 11-15, and then I will also pick up a Lonely Prince, and I should say one of the things here that that's driving a lot of my decisions is if I can get 2 treasures this turn, then that'll give us 2 more XP into the Skipping Stone. So that was also partially part of the idea here. Let's stockpile my gold for as long as I can and then try to activate this Skip's Puzzle Rune. Now, it isn't as needed because we do have the bonus XP from the Wish Upon a Star, but I actually do get there. I just ran out of time. We grab a Sky Castle, which then allows me to triple the Frog Prince, and I run out of time trying to select that treasure. That's going to cost me a little bit of gold because we would have been able to unlock the shop, but we beat the lobby leader, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, if we had selected that spinning gold last turn, then we would have had an extra gold from the spinning gold right now, and we would have been able to potentially see level 6 characters in that first shop. So we waste like a gold and a third of a gold maybe, but we'll make it up here pretty easily. I'm going to wind up tossing the piggy bank now that we're level 6 because we're probably not going to be stockpiling our gold anymore, especially as there's already some reasonable characters that we can pick up this turn. And I wind up using the Genie's Wish, thinking that we were probably just going to lock onto that shop there, and unfortunately Genie's Wish gives me a free roll, which rolls away the Jormungand. So a little bit unlucky there in that capacity, but otherwise we are definitely off to a pretty good start in terms of putting together a nice sleigh comp. We've got a Lightning Dragon that is already really big compared to the rest of the lobby. Lancelot almost active here, rest of the lobby on 5.0, and Lancelot's still going to have a reasonable time at slaying at that point in the game. And then we already have a Jormungand. We rolled past the second Jormungand, but we still have one. And this is a really interesting choice here. It's awkward that when you take a locked chest, it doesn't remember how many ticks were on it when you steal one from your opponent. So we are just grabbing a fresh locked chest here, but I still think that that's okay. Spinning gold isn't a particularly powerful treasure. We can toss that. And then the cloak, also not a particularly powerful treasure, and we can toss that at some point. We do get to activate Lancelot here. A Wizard's Test puts that right up to 25 attack, so that's really good. And then we see this shop, which is just 4 things, actually 5 things, all that meaningfully add to our board here. So pretty crazy because obviously the magic beans can be pretty good when you are playing a sleigh comp as well. And then it is 4 copies of things that we already have copies of and would like to add more copies of to our board. So seems really good to me here. Lightning Dragon's going to get the sleigh. Lance is going to get the sleigh. That means Jormungand is going to be big enough to walk the rest of this combat. So pretty good stuff here. And we will wind up walking away with a win. And then we get to pick up some combination of this board. We also get a tier 5 treasure off of Lancelot. Almost forgot about that. We're going to pick up Evil Eye and toss the spinning gold there. Or maybe the treasure isn't called spinning gold anymore. I know I just called it spinning gold a few times, but I forget the name of the treasure now. They've changed the names of some things as I've been playing Storybook Brawl this past year. But what should we actually pick up this turn is an interesting puzzle in of itself. And what I think I should have done, it works out, right? Yeah. So I think what I should have done is sold the 2 characters on my bench. That would have put me up to 15 gold, and then purchased the River Wish Mermaid, the Baba Yaga, and the Jormungand. And I should have not worried about the second Lightning Dragon and just played multiple Jormungands and 1 Lightning Dragon. I think that would have been a little bit better off. Lightning Dragon is still good, and it's going to get some good slays, and they're still at the point of the game where those are slaying and doing some nice work for us. But yeah, there's just other better things that we probably could have done with the gold from the Lightning Dragon, I think. Now, one thing that is cool is the Lightning Dragon that we're playing in slot 1 got +3/+3 from the Cloak of the Assassin, so that helps to give us a little bit more stats. And then we have another kind of interesting decision to make in this shop. We do have some more magic beans, which is nice. And the question is, do I want 9 Sea Terror, which potentially helps us find more level 5 treasures, specifically Horn of Olympus, or do I want Empress P? And right now I'm checking out how big will Empress P actually get here? Is it early enough in the game that I should be trying to get Empress P? And I wind up saying I'm gonna grab both, and then I change my mind. I'm actually gonna change my mind a few times here and lock and eventually unlock this shop one more time. I do think I want 9 Sea Terror. The fact that I've got a locked chest opening up next turn and then could potentially use 9 Sea Terror to grab a tier 7 treasure is also kind of tempting, but ultimately I'm just going to decide that I could still find a Jormungand, I could still find another Baba Yaga, and I'm more interested in spending my gold towards those things. And we'll see how that kind of trolls me in just a moment here. But my opponent's Doom Breath is going to wind up taking out my Empress P and all of my backline, but we're still going to have more than enough stats to get it done with Jormungand here. Lock chest is going to open up, and that's not really anything of interest to me. I'll just pick up a golden chicken as we are playing up against the ghost, and then we're going to see 1, 2, 9 Sea Terrors before this turn is over. I think we're going to wind up seeing a few more even. Yeah, there's 9 Sea Terror number 3, and then we'll finish off with a free roll before finding another Empress P. So only 3 9 Sea Terrors did we find. That could have been 2 more looks at tier 5 treasures though, and finding Horn of Olympus I think is quite powerful. But unfortunately, we're not really going to make use of it this turn. Now, I will say, when you are up against the ghost, that does provide some additional incentive to try to grab the Empress P slays, because it's difficult to get those slays with Empress P being my weakest character, but once you get 1 or 2 slays, then the character really gets to pop off because it's getting so much more supports here. And we are going to see Empress P actually grab a slay, so that's pretty nice for us and will definitely help us out against the other players in the lobby. Lightning Dragon also got some slays, and Lancelot got some slays. So my board grew in some pretty incredible ways this turn. And then I'm going to pick up another Empress P. Now, I didn't cast the magic beans last turn because we were up against the ghost, and it winds up being a little bit awkward because if we had done that, then I would have not had cast a spell this turn, and I would have been able to use the Evil Twin to find a triple for Empress P. So that could have been really good as well. There are some other interesting things going on here. Like, I don't really want to sell off too much of my bench, and we wind up finding a triple for Jormungand here, which is a pretty nice power spike. There is also another 9 Sea Terror in the shop. I think I'm going to wind up not picking that up as well, just because we're now so close to this lobby being over with. I'd really like to just triple the... I mean, there's a lot of things that we're still looking for on this board. We can triple the Jormungand, which we're going to do next turn. We can triple Empress P, triple Baba Yaga, which if that finds us Horn, that then allows us to slot in the... sorry, I got distracted a little bit by this combat. I'm going to have to rewind. That would allow us to put in another River Wish Mermaid. So that is an important thing to note. Now, one other thing that I want to bring up here is seeing that I'm up against Skip the Time Skipper, which we can potentially pause it on right here, because the last time that we played against Skip the Time Skipper, they did not yet have... Oh, I just barely missed it. Let me see if I can get that... they didn't have a soul tack yet. That is basically what I'm trying to say. Let me see if we can get it right on here. I think it was right about now, right? Bang. Okay, so we can see that my opponent down in the bottom corner of the screen did not yet have a soul tack. However, I'm playing Lightning Dragon. I hit them with 2 Lightning Dragons on their turn. Also, the Potion Master is running Doom Breath. So, it's pretty reasonable to expect that this player would have tried to pick up a Soul Tack Ancient by this point in the game. So what I'm going to do is move my Lightning Dragon back into a like slower attacking position, so that way my first attack isn't taken up by a Lightning Dragon swing that just gets totally owned by a Soul Tack Ancient. So kind of a weird thing here where you're kind of playing up against the lobby, but I thought that this was a really nice kind of next level play against the Soul Tack, still fielding the Lightning Dragon just because I don't really have that much else to put in. Otherwise, I guess I could replace it with a Jormungand, but I think that we are still doing fine even without that. Empress P also going to grab a Slay here, which is pretty fantastic. However, the Empress P survives longer than both of the characters supporting it. So because of that, we're going to wind up taking a little bit of damage here, but then we will grab the Jormungand, and there's 3 pretty good options here. Phoenix Feather for the Jormungand, pretty great. Mimic Chest, also pretty good with the Evil Eye, and then the Singing Swords could be pretty good just in terms of allowing us to slay. Now, I think that we don't really need the Singing Swords because our characters already have enough attack in this front row, but I am going to pick up the Mimic Chest. That is part of the like treasure trifecta that you can put together for a Slay comp. So that's what I'm going to go for here. And yeah, we can see the Doom Breath there. I am going to wind up still playing the Lightning Dragon against this Potion Master. And then I think, oh, I wind up going like this for a second. I think I might put the Empress P back in over one of these Lightning Dragons. Yeah, that seems a little bit better. But the Doom Breath is definitely a little bit awkward against Empress P specifically, and my opponent actually manages to take out all of my back line before any of my front line is gone. So a little bit awkward there, but we're still gonna have enough stats to get the win and get the kill. And I did decide to pick up the 9 Sea Terror this time, because once we have the Mimic Chest, really all that we are looking for is that Horn of Olympus. Now, we could also throw another Jormungand onto this board, and I am going to wind up doing that, so that way I can cut this Lightning Dragon completely. And we have to assume that this Skip is going to be still playing that Soul Tack Ancient. I am then going to grab 9 Sea Terror, and there is a slight temptation here to sell off some of my stuff. We could sell off the Lightning Dragon to potentially like cycle some things in the shop, or maybe cast this spell onto our Empress P. However, I'm kind of just trying to think one step ahead again, and I'm thinking that if we don't play Lightning Dragon in this combat, then maybe we could play it in the next combat. We might have to fight Skip twice here, and if we don't show him Lightning Dragon this time, then maybe they'll take out the Soul Tack Ancient, we can put the Lightning Dragon back in, and get a nice little play against them there. We are going to get the Slay with the Empress P, which makes our Jormungand's go crazy, and should be enough to win this combat despite my opponent's Medusa. It's a frontline Medusa, not going to be too big of a deal here, and their backline Phoenix Feather means that their Medusa isn't even going to get get another attack. So now I'm going to pick up the 9C Terror. I don't actually find the Horn of Olympus, so I'm just going to wind up skipping on this treasure, and then, like I said, I am going to throw this Lightning Dragon back in. Now, I do have to decide if I want the Lightning Dragon in that first attacking slot, if I want to play Lancelot. There's still a lot of options, a lot of different interesting ways to configure this board, and then I guess that is it. No, okay. I lock onto a Baba Yaga, but I don't think we're going to have the time to triple it here. So I would still like to pick up this Baba Yaga for next turn, but what I'm going to do is just lock onto this shop, and then I can cycle the 9C Terror to either like grab the Humpty Dumpty, or I'm actually just going to wind up casting the Lightning Bolt to finish things off. But I did put the Lightning Dragon back onto the board. We kind of need it to attack into the Ashwood Elm, as my opponent did still play the Soultac Ancient, but what's nice is my opponent attacks into the Lightning Dragon, so I don't have to waste another attack here. Medusa is going to be able to take out my Jormungand, and actually that's all they have. They don't have enough stats to take out my backline pumped up by the Empress P, so we are able to find the win there, and we had locked onto the Baba Yaga to potentially take it even further. But for today, that one's going to be it. I thought that was a pretty fun end game, as well as obviously a pretty fun early game, using Rumpelstiltskin like that on 2.2 to grab a piggy bank and then do some silly stuff with. I think we were definitely helped out by the fact that this was only a 6-person lobby, but 6-person lobby, that can be even trickier trying to make some crazy plays with piggy bank, but still we were able to get away with it in this one. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm No Luck's Given. Peace.